Imagine, if you will, sitting down to your morning coffee, turning on your home computer to read the day's newspaper. Well, it's not as far-fetched as it may seem.
Yo, it's your boy Zeta Don, and we are back at it again with another episode of Inspired Empire Podcast. Today we got Willy Graves. He's a local upcoming artist. He does everything. He has his own, what was it, the printing
clothing brand,
brand,
with Coco
all that,
Infinity,
man.
bro. We launched the 25th. Be on the lookout for that. It's gonna be beautiful.
Yes, sir. And today, pretty much we're gonna talk about the Rico that we got going on with Young Thug, right?
Oh yeah, man. Unfortunately,
just music overall, right?
Yeah, music. Let's talk mental health. Let's talk about whatever's clever, man. I'm down for whatever. So.
Got you. Okay, so basically, where did you come from?
So originally, man, I'm originally from Utah. I lived here until I think I was like 8 or 9. Grew up in Rose Park, Glendale, and then I moved to Oklahoma. That was a kind of like a different experience for me, man. You know, majority of Utah is Caucasian, white, whatever, and with Oklahoma, where I grew up in North Tulsa, was a predominantly black. I actually went to an all-black high school, essentially by the numbers. So, it was definitely a different experience. I learned a lot. I got to see things that I wouldn't be able to see unless I left here.
Right. So
it definitely played a big part of, who I am as a person and as a man. So definitely learned a lot during that time.
I feel you. They say Tulsa's like, not Tulsa, just Oklahoma. It's like the capital of the black city.
Yeah, bro.
There's a lot of black people there.
Yeah. Originally when it comes to Oklahoma, it wasn't even a state; it was a territory, with originally Native Americans, and then when blacks from the East Coast were basically pushed west, they established territories in Oklahoma. So you had Native Americans and black people living in an established territory before it came the state of Oklahoma.
Right.
So yeah, man, a lot of people come from there, a lot of history there, and a lot of black people, a lot of black love there, man. So
yeah, I got a lot of family out there. I had a great grandpa that was like Creek Indian.
Yeah.
Creek Indian. Yeah. So I got that in me. I'm trying to get my card.
Yeah.
I'm about to go get the card.
Yeah, man.
So,
it's definitely a process. Like for me, got a couple different nations in my bloodline, Cherokee and Choctaw. So, it's you get to learn about different nations, especially going down there, even if it's by the streets names or if it's by the casinos or if it's by the different territories that they have or reservations. And so again, you kind of like learn a little bit more about the culture and a little bit more about the people there, and it's still taught. And that's one of the greatest things that I loved about growing up in Tulsa, Oklahoma is a lot of things that you won't get in a lot of places around the United States. You'll get history-wise when it comes to Oklahoma. So definitely appreciate it.
I feel like that's anywhere though, because in Missouri, it's the same thing. Like especially, I don't know if it's just a black school thing, but like in Utah, they don't teach
man,
history the way it's supposed to be taught. So it's only towards white people. But like in Missouri, they teach you like the black history. They'll teach you the white stuff too.
Exactly.
They'll teach you the black history. They teach you like where our people came from. So you know what I'm saying? So kids are educated.
Man, when I'll never forget Black History Month when I was living in Utah. Awesome. Worst thing ever, bro. Like it's like you in the classroom, right? And you like one of maybe 2 black kids in the classroom, and they want to show roots. And everybody in the classroom looking at you for your reaction.
Yeah.
Like, bro, okay, like that's cool. Mm-hmm. Don't look at me for my reaction. I don't like this shit. My ancestors didn't like this shit. It's not cool. But if that's the only thing you're gonna show is people being persecuted and being whipped, that's not black history. That's kind of like where black history was kind of distorted,
right? Because
it was kind of like the they even had different Bibles for slaves.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them states that one of your greatest servitudes in life is to your master,
right?
And that was a Christian Bible that was written. So for me, it's not only in what we were taught, but it's also what we weren't taught when it came to black history and things like that too. So
yeah, because I hated the movie. It's a good movie, but Ruby Bridges, That was one of the movies that like got under my skin because like they be calling them the stuff, and then you see the kids just look at you like,
man,
like, it was just weird. But I mean, how was your? Because I mean, you obviously already had family here, right? How was your transition from coming to Utah?
You know, it wasn't like a. It's kind of like, you know, with anything with knowledge wise, right? Knowledge is knowledge until it's applied. But with the things that I got to learn about myself and deeper within my history of who I am as a black man, you know, it made me it made me realize that there's a lot of pride of where we come from and the things we're not taught. Are you familiar with James Baldwin? Mm-hmm. One of his greatest lines ever. I don't know if I'm a master but he said to be African American is to be African without the memory, and American without the rights. Mm-hmm. So it's exactly what that is. It's like, you know, for a lot of people they think Black history starts at slavery. And that's where it's taught. We're not talking about where we come from, how we got here, and the riches that were, you know, in Africa, and gold, diamonds, why Europeans were even there in the first place. Mm-hmm. You know, we're taught that, oh, y'all was sold into slavery, and that's where y'all began. Yeah. So
I mean, that's a touchy subject because like my son's mixed, right? So he's pretty much 50% Black, 25 Mexican, 25 Italian.
Yeah.
So I was like, man, I can't wait till Black History Month. I'm gonna teach my son. This is, and my homeboy was like, "What are you gonna show him?" He's like, "You don't remember anything besides a dashiki and like the statues and shit." Like, he's like, "What are you gonna teach him?"
Exactly.
He's like, all you're gonna pretty much show him of how we were enslaved, how we got segregated, and how we're still being segregated.
Exactly. And he's like, red lines and everything.
That's else. It. Yeah. He's like, you can show him what we created, but it's not gonna get you anywhere. He's like, he's not gonna learn as much. And I don't know, like, as much as I want to be prideful, I kind of agree with that because I'm like, damn, that low-key messed me up.
For me, it's the power of knowledge, man. And that sounds so corny, but for me, and you know, I can't tell you how to raise your child. Right. But as far as for me, when I look at a situation, whenever I do decide to have children, it's part of the knowledge they need to know. Because remember, the greatest way to keep somebody entrapped is control a narrative or control the information. If your child doesn't have that information, even if they are knowing of that and they're never taught again, they can still keep that going on. And for his children, and they'll know that. But the fact is, because for so many generations, Black people couldn't even be educated, right, to where they couldn't even teach people where they came from. So a lot of Black history is lost, and that's the issue we have now. Yeah, is that so much is lost, so much is. You ever seen, like, nowadays you can turn on a Netflix special or a Hulu special or whatever, and you'll see like a story about the Nazis and World War II and Germany and Hitler and things like that, right? They'll even go as far as to tell you everybody that was there. Let's say Auschwitz, okay? You mean to tell me they ain't got no ledgers of the Black people that have been enslaved in this country? You mean to tell me that they were livestock, but they still paid money for them? Right. Tell me any person you know is going to pay money for something and not have a receipt where it came from. Right. So for me, it's like part of the history is making sure that these things don't happen again. Right. Because people always think about, oh, slavery is so long ago. Nah, man. One of the first Black females to ever go to a school is still alive. I think she's, 68, in her 70s maybe? Mm-hmm. So, you know, for me, it's like just understand that with knowledge comes decisions. And if, let's say, one day your child is like, okay, wants to know where he comes from, this and that, teach him about all the things as far as where he comes from. But for me, with, let's say if he's, you know, you say it's part Mexican and Italian as well. Mm-hmm. The craziest thing is, like, you think about all different nationalities, right? They have countries or where they come from. Black Americans really don't. Because a lot of our history is lost. We don't know exactly where we come from.
It's crazy because, like, so my girl's dad, he don't know no better. He was he was like, oh, so you're African. Like, where did you come from? And I'm like, I couldn't answer it.
Like,
because, like, I wanted to be like, I'm not African, but I am. But then again, it's like, I'm American. Yeah. But I was like, damn, I don't know. So like, my girl
Exactly.
said, she's like, oh no, dad. Like she,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? She jumped in,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
that question fucked me up because
Yeah.
I'm like, damn, where
What
we
do you
come
say
from?
to that?
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
exactly,
So I was
exactly.
kind of like, damn, that kind of fucked me up.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I don't know.
But see, imagine your son in a situation if he doesn't have the information that he needs to even answer that.
I mean, but as far as you coming to Utah, and did you have like any differences, like problems here that you didn't
Oh
have?
man, come on, you know I got different problems here. You know, the difference between Oklahoma and Utah when it comes to race or racism, more specific, Utah's more of a newer age racism. It's very subtle. It's very, they ain't gonna just blatantly do it unless you, I mean, you will have some that are that brave, but in Oklahoma, they still got sundown towns. They still got hanging trees. You know, certain towns you don't want to be in after sundown. You know, it's more of a blatant,
Like,
good
in
old
your
boy
face.
racism. But with here, it's a more kind of roundabout. You won't know shit sometimes till it's too late. So that's the only difference, man. I mean, other than that, you know, they got the Mormon stuff here. You know, they basically run the state. But other than that, like, there's really no difference.
I feel you. Like, my mom visited last week, and she was
Yeah.
just like, they keep commenting on my hair and my skin.
Yeah,
Like, I just feel
yeah.
weird. But for
man.
me, because I've been here so
Yeah.
long, I'm like, man, you tripping. Like, what you tripping about? Like, who
Yeah,
cares?
but see, that's the difference. Like in Oklahoma, you can't just touch nobody hair, bro. Like I know some females catch a body on sight type situation. Like my girl, we out somewhere, somebody touch her hair, it ain't gonna be pretty. Like I remember we was at Smith's one time, and this one girl, she's like, "Oh my God," and she had like locks, and she was like, "Oh, your locks are so pretty." This is that. Can I touch them? I was like, "No, but I appreciate the compliment." Right. And she looked like she was offended, like I was the first black person to ever tell her, "Don't touch my goddamn hair." So it's a different sentiment. But the thing is, you know, for me, that's one of the craziest parts I was talking to my girl about was like, even with friends, you know, I might be in a situation where I might be, say, at the club or something like that. And somebody touches my hair, and then I catch an attitude about the situation. Mm-hmm. Some people won't understand that, and that's fine. I'm gonna give you the opportunity and tell you what your wrongdoing is. I ain't just gonna just flip out on you. But with that information, what they do with the information is their business. Right. But for me, it's a respect thing. You know, black people's hair at one point was used for stuffing couches, stuffing chairs. So there's some people you can find on TikTok right now. There was a man who bought a chair, was reupholstering it, and it was stuffed with black people's hair. Allegedly, don't know for a fact, done some research, haven't anything conclusive, but allegedly George Washington's teeth were pulled from slaves. I thought they were ivory, but you know,
That's what they tell us.
that's what you tell you. So, you know.
I mean, George Washington also owned slaves.
Yeah.
That's different. I mean,
One of the
they
biggest
all owned
slave owners at the time as well. So
did,
you know.
Abe Lincoln.
Exactly.
I mean, they all did it. So,
Exactly.
Yeah, man. It's a different environment out here.
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
I mean, for my kid though,
Yeah.
it's the safest.
Oh yeah, and that's what's kind of like, you know, that's the thing you have to ask yourself, because I'll put it this way, I look at a lot of black communities that I've been to and things like that. They're beautiful places, and like I said, that was a place that I learned to love not only myself, but the people like me. Right. And with that came decisions on how I applied that knowledge. For me, it was with music. Right. Like I kind of apply it to music, some of my songs, to where I dedicate certain subjects to being prolifically black. And I got one of my homeboys, he's Bosnian. One time he's like, "Well, you're racist." I'm like, I'm not racist. I'm a black man who knows where I come from, so you can't tell me shit, bro. Like, I'm gonna be respectful of everybody, but I'm not gonna just slide past situations to make it less uncomfortable. Like, I feel like with a lot of situations, people don't want to offend nobody, and that's fine. You can walk around eggshells. I'm cool on that. I'm gonna say how I feel, always respectfully. always respecting your opinion. If you don't like black people, that's fine. That's your opinion. I'm not here to change nobody's mind. I'm here to educate the things that I know and the things that I believe in. You don't believe them? That's cool. Keep your 10 feet. We good. We gravy.
I feel like it just starts with education. Basically, you gotta like communicate with the other side of like
exactly
what it is on their side that makes you feel this way. Well, this is what it is with me, and you can agree to disagree.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I feel like with the whole race thing, though, in Utah, you gonna get uncomfortable.
Yeah.
You gonna be uncomfortable pretty much.
Yeah.
And basically, what's gonna happen is you either gonna
yeah.
your case, or you're gonna be put in an uncomfortable situation.
Exactly.
So either one, more than likely, you want to be put in an uncomfortable situation. Not a case for anybody, especially if you are black. So
yeah, and for me, it's like that even comes with knowing your audience for one, and for two, my mom used to tell me all the time, the best way to stop a situation is prevention. If I go to a situation, I know somebody that may have like not opposing views, but if I know this person and he could be confrontational, I'm not a person that's got to be out and be with a bunch of people that I don't feel comfortable around. If I'm uncomfortable around certain people, I'm not going to be there. So it's like, for me, if somebody asks, hey, we going to do this, who going to be there? Because I need to know my crowd. I need to know who I'm going to be surrounded by. Right. So
that's where I'm at too. Because like my girl be like, "Oh, let's go hiking, let's go sledding." I'm like, who coming?
Yeah.
That sound like not that sound white.
Yeah.
That's a big thing.
Yeah.
I know you said that you used something to kind of differentiate yourself from other people, which is music. So I mean, like, how did you get into music exactly?
Man, I got into music because it was purely by, I guess chance, really. For me, I've always been a person that loves music. I mean, they used to call me like boombox when back in the day because I used to like be able to recite like whole lines to different songs type situation. But I mean, I think everybody who loves music has always had that dream about being on stage and having fun, that type of situation, especially with the way they glamorize artists and things like that these days. But for me, my journey in music started purely from my cousin. One time when he was living with me in Sandy, my cousin Sarandon, I came home and he was using my Bluetooth speaker and he was playing something. I don't remember what it was, but he was like, I was like, bro, what is this trash? Like, what is this trash you playing? And he's like, bro, don't call it trash. I was like, but it really is. He's like, well, at least he's making money and people know who he is and he's saying what he has to say. And for me, I was like, makes sense. He ain't lying. It makes sense. So I want to say maybe fast forward maybe about another 6 months. I met my homeboy Enzo when I was working at Discover. We was working nights, do some training, and I didn't even know him at the time. Like I just called see him around the building, and we happened to have this training together. And when we had this training, we was talking about it just dropped was that Kanye West's Life of Pablo. And he was like, I was telling him, bro, this album's dope, this and that. He's like, man, that's mid. Like this album ain't that great. And I was like, what you mean? He was like, bro, recite one line from that album. And I was like, I really couldn't because I listened to it at least 4 different times by that point and nothing stood out to me. And he's like, give me something like older, late registration, graduation, something like that. And the first song that came to my head was Take It Down, Mrs. Throw 'em Up Like You Bulimic. Yeah, the beat cold, but the flow is anemic. And it's like an iconic line. And it kind of made sense. So after that, we was going through training. Enzo, man, got fired from the job, He'll tell you himself, man, was never either not there or sleep at the time. That's just, that just what it be sometimes. Yeah, you know. And he got fired. So I want to say like maybe some months later, probably about 4 months later, I messaged him on Facebook and I said, what you up to, G? And he was like, nothing, bro. You trying to come to the studio? I was like, yeah. He's like, yeah, let's kick it over here. I pull up, there's like 4 or 5 different dudes there. And to that point, I had no intention on doing any music. I was gonna hang out with one of the homies. I wasn't doing shit, why not? And there was this dude, I'll never forget, because he only came in one time. He came in one time and he came in, everybody else was kind of sitting around, niggas be in the studio sometimes. And he came in, jotted something down, did it in one take. And I was like, and then he left because he said something about a girl and he had to leave. And I'm like, damn, I think just one take and was gone. I was like, and for me, it almost felt like a competitive, like, I don't know, competitive. I'm a competitive nature person. So I was like, man, I love music. Shit, let me try and see if I can do this, because he just did it in one take and the dude didn't seem like nothing special. It was like he just, and at that point, I was like, yo, bro, you got any like beats I can do anything on? He was like, yeah, we got some, and looked up some beats on YouTube, this, and that. And I want to say probably by the time about 2 months went by, I had like 8 tracks done. And at that point, it was like, he's like, hey, you want to put a project together? Because we was like kicking it at the time, just kind of like mess around the studio type situation. And like I said, the love for music was already there. At that point, I was like, okay, let's give it a try. Put my first project out. It was called Heavy. And I got a really good reception. So I was like, okay, I'll try another time. I put out my second project. It was called Tulsa. It was actually named after Tulsa Nights and Streetlights. And I got a lot of good reception about that music as well. Yeah. So for me, music is kind of like it's a love that I do purely because I love it. Mm-hmm. It's a way to express myself. It's a way to say things or more navigate things that sometimes I might not be able to say in the moment.
Because like for me, I mean, I got into music at the time. As a kid, like I don't know about your household, but like I wasn't able to speak. Like, I couldn't. If my mom told me to do something, I couldn't be like, "Why? Like, why is this?" You know, so I couldn't ask just why.
Exactly.
So music, when I heard music, and I heard 50 Cent "Get Rich, Die Trying," and like him express himself like how he felt when he got shot.
Exactly.
Damn, I'm like, that's crazy. I'm like, let me try this. So I would sit in the bathroom and I'd turn off all the lights when I was a kid, and I would rap, and I was like, damn, that was crazy. Like no one told me to stop talking. I was like, I felt powerful. I ain't gonna lie. I was like, I felt powerful. So then I had a journal. And I was like, every day, my mom would always ask me what I'm writing. I would never tell her, but I was always just writing raps, writing poems and stuff like that. Then it just took off from there. As a kid, I watched not a 50 Cent, sorry, Tupac documentary. Yeah. And I seen that he did ballet, he did improv and stuff. Yeah. So I got into improv when I was in junior high. Then it did it in high school too. And I was reciting raps. And people were like, you wrote that? Like, I was like, yeah. So then people start fucking with me like that, and then school, I would just rap in the hallways. Like whoever would listen, I was just always rapping. If it was trash, they tell me, that's cool. You can tell me it's trash. I just keep going.
Man, that could be a great audience. Just like being at school like that.
Yeah, but like just to feel like my words were heard just made me feel different. Like it was an ego boost. If it wasn't for music, I probably wouldn't even be the person I was today. So it's just one of them things for me. I love music. Even listening to other people rap, I feel powerful when I hear it.
And that's the thing, it's kind of just like it's an outlet, just like anything else. Some people draw, some people are very artistic. I can't draw to save my life, but I could be articulate with words every now and again. So, and that's how it started for me with like, I guess the love of. First was the love of music, and then just the love of poetry. I loved James Baldwin. I loved it. Tupac, actually, one of my favorite books of all time is called The Rose That Grew from the Concrete, and it's his poetry book. And that was another thing that actually kind of like inspired me. It was like, yo, Tupac did poetry? Like, what? Like, that was like crazy, Thug Life, that type. That nigga just like did poetry?
But I mean, that's what music is. It's poetry. Basically, because everybody's just basically expressing themselves in a way. I mean, or whatever they've been through.
Exactly.
Like that song he did about his mom. That's a poem. You know what I'm saying? Like,
exactly.
Brenda's got a baby. Stuff like that. That's just something that I felt like that type of stuff made me feel powerful. Like I was like, man, that's so cool. Like,
because it's crazy. People these days, man. I'm gonna keep it a buck with you. Like, it's for me, great music isn't when you can get everybody that loves it. To me, that's not great music. For me, just because it's like the popular kid in high school. Popular kid in high school doesn't mean that was a good person. Right. Doesn't mean it's a good student or anything like that. They might have been the most dirtball motherfucker around. And everybody can like that. And that's fine. But for me, when it comes to music, the people that are vulnerable to show who you are in the face of any kind of scrutiny or what people may perceive as being, sensitive or things like that. Vulnerability is also respectable. Because again, to be vulnerable, you either have to either trust or you have to have a willingness to be that in the face of what you may face, like rejection or people who may not get your message. So for me, that's also being yourself. And that's one of the most respectable things about those great creators of music like the Coles, like the Kendricks, like the Pacs, because the Nipseys, the men that were great and that can be themselves, but also weren't afraid to be vulnerable in the message that they were sending. So,
to be able to do that though too, you also got to be different. You got to be willing to be different.
Exactly.
What people say.
Exactly.
Because like, even with this podcast, like when you see other people doing podcasts about jokes or who's level who did this, but for me to do something about like mental health, like just real stuff, you got to be willing to put that out.
Exactly.
Some people just not.
Exactly, and some people may watch this like, man, these old sensitive ass niggas, bro. Yes, I'm a sensitive ass nigga, but you know what? That's the beautiful part about it.
Yeah, I mean. For me, I ain't really got told I was sensitive. I just heard. I always heard people be like, "Man, you gotta put your business out there." Like, that's the biggest thing. But I mean, in the Black community, we always like that. Like, "Oh man, tell me about your business." Like, that type of deal.
But that's where the trust comes in, because it's about who you talking to. You can't, because again, vulnerability is openness. You can't be open to something everybody, because motherfuckers may be able to use that against you back later on. True. And that's usually what happens. People who are vulnerable, feel like they can be vulnerable with somebody, ends up coming around later on, getting thrown in your face, That's the risk that you take. But that's also because of the respect that you have for the person or have for the person to where you believe you can do that. Or you believe your message was so strong that it just had to be said.
Right. So as an artist, I wanted to ask you this question. Where do you feel like music is heading?
That's tough. That's tough, man, because it's that, if you got to ask where music's headed, you got to ask where society's headed. Exactly. Because if you're going to ask that question, that's basically what you're asking, and you looked outside.
Yeah, that's true.
Shit ain't pretty, man. So I'm a realist, but I'm an optimist. The optimistic side of me says, you know what? Humanity's going to get together one day, and we all going to be fine. But if history has taught us anything, that ain't the case. The greediest man usually wins, and a lot of blood is shed before that happens. So, I mean, I don't know, man, it's a toss-up. For me, I have a cousin, his name is Deshaun. I ain't gonna announce that, but he's got a really big position over in DC, and he's a great man, he's a great person, and he's kind of gone the route of kind of a political route with his change that he's making. And that's the most beautiful thing is like, I remember I was having a conversation with him one day about just kind of like where the country lies and things like that. And he truly believes that, this generations to come are going to be the change that is needed to be made. I mean, you look at, even let's say with mental health and where things lie now, the conversations that are being had about mental health were not being had 5 to 10 years ago. It was a stigma. It was some people kind of hush, especially within families. But, now you look at it as you see commercials for it, promoting it. You see different campaigns about it and more resources. That's the even more beautiful thing about it, is more resources. So for me with music, I'm hopeful, but it's hard to say when, everybody's become a slave to the dollar. Right. So it's whatever sells. I mean, for the greatest artists, let's say the Kendricks and the Coles, they're going to be the ones that sell a lot. Mm-hmm. But as far as the oversaturation of the negative messages that are being pushed, that are selling more, and not necessarily selling more, but being sold more abundantly, right, that's just tricky. So for me, I guess I'll say I'm hopeful, but I'm not blind to the fact that history has taught us a lot about humanity, and it's tough.
It is a hard question because like obviously I love Lil Baby. I like Lil Durk.
Exactly.
I like Pooh Shiesty. I like that.
I do as well.
I like it.
But you know what the difference is, though? When we played Grand Theft Auto as kids, we knew Grand Theft Auto was Grand Theft Auto.
True.
These days, motherfuckers that think it's sweet, and you hear about the shit that Dirk talking about, if you lived it, you can understand it. But for people that didn't live it, this is like a movie. This is entertainment. This shit don't exist in their neighborhood, so they just like, oh yeah, we gonna rock with it, we gonna bump this shit, but not knowing that this is coming from a lot of stuff he says from, it's coming from a hurtful place. But that's where the perks and the drugs and shit come, because that's where you come to numb the pain. But for me, it's like, it's just tough because, you know, it's just always out there, but it's hard because I like the Pooh Shiesties, I like the Durks, I like the Futures of the world, and I have for a long time. But like I said, I know the difference between this is entertainment and reality, where everybody out here that feels nowadays they gotta have an op. If you ain't got an op, you ain't doing shit. Right. Bro, ops where I come from, since such a small town, you gonna see that nigga again real soon. Mm-hmm. So you really ready for them situations? Mm-hmm. You ready for your mama crying, or they mama crying, or whatever happens after this with his cousins, his fam, because you done lay somebody down. I get everybody wanna be hyped these days. But like I said, the difference is people who don't know and think it's all party 24/7, and the ones that do, that know there's a crossing line and lines that you don't cross. Right. There's boundaries these days that the OGs ain't teaching people to where they don't know it no more. There's things you don't touch. Like there's certain things certain lines you don't cross, but those lines don't exist anymore. Right. So again, it's like a question you're gonna ask about music, you gotta ask about society. And the craziest thing is, yes, we're hopeful. It's almost, because if you're not, that's a very dark thing. We do live in a dark world, but we kind of live in a day-to-day that hoping or doing the things to make things more progressive, but at the same time, you know, it does take time.
Yeah, because I mean, think about it. I mean, whatever is negative gets the most hype, right? So like you said, Kendrick's and Nicole's, they're gonna get play. Like,
exactly.
They don't get their shine.
But how many of them are there? Not
many. Because what people want to do to get out of their environment, they're gonna do whatever it takes. They don't. I mean, there's a lot of people that can rap, like Kodak Black. He can actually rap.
Oh yeah, right? Hands down.
But he makes some good negative music.
Oh yes, because that's what's selling. Exactly. But if it didn't sell,
yeah, because he started out as a regular rapper. Like he wasn't doing all that. And then when he did jump to that, that's what got him out.
That's what got him popping.
So, but he has to keep it that way now.
Because now you're sold. That's your image that you're selling. Exactly. So for me, it's a dirty game for the fact that music isn't seen as something that, like I said, an outlet in the art, to where, just like almost like. We was talking about Father Time and the new Kendrick album that just dropped, you know. So many black men, so many black people that come from homes that don't have two-parent households. I'm not gonna say black people, period. I'm gonna say people that don't come from two-parent households and understand the ramifications of what a single-parent household mentally can have upon somebody. That's what he's speaking on. Yeah. So for a lot of people, they're not going to understand that. A lot of people aren't going to understand that his auntie is now a man. Yeah. A lot of people ain't going to understand that. And the things that he says so boldly and so aggressively that aren't said in the most politically light way, it's going to be hard for people to hear. Right. And just because I'm not a trans person, I'm not a person that has gone through that, I can identify with that. But however, at the end of the song, just like he said, his auntie had said that, how would you feel about a white girl calling you nigga? You have to have the same amount of respect for the situation. But for me, it's about who he was really trying to speak to in that situation. Right. And that's what music is. Like I was telling you before we got on here, is like music is about how much you can identify to the situations. People listen to sad music when they're going through a breakup. You know, what was it? Who was that? What was her name? Adele. Mm-hmm. Hello from the other side, bro. She talking about, and then talking about find somebody new type situations, you know? But that's the sad shit you be going through when you're going through a breakup, and that's why you want to feel it, you want to hear it. And so, for me, the hardest part is kind of like people having those relatable topics like Kendrick, and for the people that don't understand, have those conversations. Don't just have them within those groups that you're so used to that are going to agree with you. Right. Because your friends, your family, and they feel the same way you do. Right. If you got a black friend, ask them how they felt about the Kendrick Lamar album. Not to say that they may even identify with it, but if you're just going to be, like I said, ask from somebody from a single parent household how they feel about what Kendrick said in those lyrics and in that song, and tell me he was wrong.
Not at all. Not at all.
Exactly.
I mean, for me, that Father Time song that hit hard.
Yeah.
Rich Spirit hit hard.
Exactly.
I could go down the name and list.
That's what I'm saying, but it's because you can relate to it.
Yeah. So just the Father Time one, that one hit hard for me too, because like now, I mean, my dad didn't really come in my life till I was about 4.
Yeah.
So, I mean, just that small period of time, you have an effect your whole life that way. You know what I'm saying? But even me being a father now, just with him talking, I'm like, damn.
Yeah.
Like, I do carry some toxic shit because my dad wasn't, you know what I'm saying?
Hey, but the song starts out, nigga, you need therapy. It's just him and his girl talking, you need therapy.
Exactly.
Like, and then even that, remember he said, don't need no fucking therapy. And that's how 90% of men are going to react to that situation, that girl saying you need therapy.
But you know what's funny? I thought about this actually today while I was listening to it. As much as it's carrying on to other men, that song also carries on to women.
Exactly.
When their dad ain't there. I mean, it's one thing to not have your mom there, don't get me wrong, but
exactly,
when a dad is not there, it affects both sides. Like, it's the most wild shit ever because boys, they don't know how to become men. And then you have girls who have, like, daddy issues.
Yeah.
They don't know how to treat
or don't know the proper lines of how a man is supposed to treat you. And you have a lot of women settling for a lot of situations because of the toxicity of a lot of the men today, to where they think every man ain't shit. That's not the case. It's the foundation of what a man stands on. I was talking to my girl about Kevin Samuels, how he passed away. And she was like, Kevin Samuels said all this and this. I'll tell you about my experience with Kevin Samuels. I listened to like maybe 2 different podcasts. And in one of them, he said something about how people burn bridges and expect to walk back across them. Mm-hmm. And I felt that. I agree with that. I told my girl that, right? My girl is a very strong-minded black woman. Mm-hmm. And she came from a place from a very strong black woman I would expect to come from. She said, how can you agree with anything he said? This, and that, this, and that. And I was like, I'm not saying I agree with what he said. I'm saying he made a point. And she's like, oh, but if somebody said this, would you agree with them if they were killers? I was like, no. What I'm saying is everybody has the opportunity to say things that may resonate with somebody. Mm-hmm. With Kevin Samuel, she said, and this is, again, a conversation between me and my girl, she had said that he had men who decided to follow his preaching, his Samuelites, and believe everything, hang on every word he said. For me, that wasn't the issue. For me, is it, as a man, another man that you've never met, do not know personally, can change the way you treat, act, or look at another woman, that was already within you. That's foundational. Because to change the way you treat somebody holistically and fundamentally has to be there. Remember, a seed needs to be watered, needs to have sunlight, needs air. Mm-hmm. The seed was already there. If you agree with certain things, I don't know. I didn't listen to us camps. I can't speak on it. But what I'm saying is, if anything that he said had nothing to do with, oh, this was not some revolutionary idea. Right. It was the way you felt in the beginning. Has nothing to do with Kevin Samuels. He was just a speaker of this. I'll say on the same token, let's say Donald Trump. People want to say, oh, Donald Trump did this, made this country so bad. No. Donald Trump spoke for a lot of people who already felt the way that he felt. He was just a voice. He was just a head. I'll give you a third. I'll give you a third exhibit. Hitler. Hitler was a very enthusiastic person, and for the only reason that he did not get accepted into art school, became who he was. If Hitler gets accepted into art school, we don't have him a part of World War II. But the thing was, he didn't create these ideas. He didn't create how people treated Jewish people. He had ideas. They were not revolutionary. They were not new. He just had people that agreed, and he was just the mouth that spoke what they felt was truth. That's it.
With the whole Kevin thing, though, at first he was going in on men.
Yeah.
He transferred to women because words don't resonate with men the same way they do.
And you're not gonna get the same reaction.
You're not gonna get the same. You can call me the dumbest motherfucker. And I'm gonna be like, okay.
Yeah.
But you call a woman,
you won't get a different reaction.
You're gonna get a different reaction.
Exactly.
The reason why is because even he was saying, he was like, this woman was talking, and all she did was ask a question.
Mm-hmm.
So she was like, well, no, she answered something. She was like, well, I feel this way. Then a whole bunch of, I don't agree with that. She's like, and he's like, see, he's like, the problem is nobody was like, hey, I respect your decision. Everybody's trying to tell somebody that they're wrong.
Exactly.
I accepted stuff like that. Should he kind of took it easy on some women? Yeah.
But for me, by that point, it was entertainment.
Right, it's entertainment. Yeah. He's just, you know what I'm saying? But he did make points, like how you saying.
Yeah.
Even my mom, she went in on me like, "Oh, I can't believe you like him." And I'm glad he's gone. And I'm like, "Dang, like I can't say that even if I don't like somebody." But as far as I was like, "Mom, he made good points." Because some of these women, like a lot of women, do certain things, like trying to force people to. I ain't even gonna go there. I ain't even gonna start. I'm gonna leave that alone. But he made good points. For what he did basically worked because people to this day, you know, he's been dead for a week. They were still going in.
Exactly.
So whatever he was doing was working. But as far as just music, let me stay away from the Kevin thing. I don't want to get in trouble.
Yeah, you know, you gotta keep focused, my man. Yeah.
But as far as music thing, man, I think music in our society, because I mean, black culture, everybody wants to be black. So a lot of, like how you saying, a lot of the stuff that's going on that people see or what's going on is being done in different cities as like a game or something. Like it's not real. Because
it doesn't affect their household, doesn't affect their neighborhoods. Right. It's just like, you know, you have police that patrol different neighborhoods in different cities that are predominantly black, but they've never even talked to a black person. So, you know, that's the most messed up part. And what I'm gonna say something before we move forward. I gotta say something because I've been waiting to have a mic in front of my face just to say it, and it's something I want to ask black people. As you said, everybody want to be black these days. Black people are the product, but what I need more black people to do is ownership. We have all these different ideas, all these things that we create. Remember that renegade dance that was on TikTok? And they had two little white girls on Jimmy Fallon doing it. And all the black creators that got no attention from it. If you're gonna make the next dance, own it. Whatever you're gonna do, own it. Because at the end of the day, if you make money, money's cool. We all want some money. Everybody needs some money. But just like with music, all these motherfuckers out here in music videos, out in the clubs, social media talking about, oh, we balling, making all this money. But people who make music only make 12% of all the billions of dollars that comes into music. Right. One of the great examples is like Shaq. Shaq realized that very early. I think he's the owner of like 56 different companies. But the thing is, it's because he owns them. Like, I love that we have to come from a place that we are so entrepreneurish that we want to create so much, but we sell out. We sell it and then we don't own it no more. So we don't get to control the narrative. We don't get to control who consumes it or how we want it to be presented. Just like when they do these record deals, you got to have 14 different people sign up before you even get the freedom to say what you want to say on this mic.
Yeah. See, it gets hard though.
Yeah.
Because you got a whole household you trying to get out. Your mom's working 3 jobs to support everybody. You know what I'm saying? So most of the time, a lot of us are in the corner.
I grew up on public housing, Section 8, my man. You preach to the choir. That's what I'm saying.
So it's like some of them, they don't got no choice to sell out, or they're just being impatient. They're like, I got some money.
But that's what it is. With a lot of it's hard. Cause are you really gonna turn down? Somebody comes to you right now saying we give you $4 million up front. That's yours. That's for promoting whatever. You ain't gonna think it's for promoting and what you got to double back on to pay you back. That's just $4 million. People, 90% of people ain't gonna turn down $4 million, no matter what the situation is. But that's where we do ourselves a disservice. Because what are you going to do with $4 million when the words you're speaking, you don't control. The action that you're taking, you do not control. The narrative that they want to put out there for you, for people to consume, you do not control. You are now a puppet.
That's what that takes us back down that road of what the history of us. It's always been that way.
Exactly.
So I mean, well, that's another conversation. Like we could go about this shit all day because it comes in a circle.
Exactly.
Completely.
I mean, even let's say like Motown, Berry Gordy, and things like that. You know, when Motown was Motown, that was the house of a million hits. You know, but that was the beautiful thing about it was the ownership they had and the acts that they had. They created some of the greatest acts of all time because of it. And that's what ownership does. It gives you that freedom to be true to who you want to be with the money. Remember, I was watching this Jay-Z interview, and he said he got into music because he loved it, and he continued to make music that he liked. He didn't think about how much money he's gonna make in the end. And he knew if he was gonna be the best rapper, that was what he was gonna try to do, and that just came with it. We're so set on sprinting to the finish line that there are a million ways to take this journey. So again, that's what I'm gonna ask. It's gonna be hard. It's not gonna be easy. It's not gonna be easy.
Easy said than done.
Exactly.
Especially with today's time, bro. Like everything's fucking expensive. So
exactly,
like, you're just gonna have more and more people trying to sell out, trying to get there because they want to do other stuff, but at the same time, they're not understanding the terms that they signing up for.
Exactly.
Like, I mean, a lot of these people that are pretty much basically selling their soul, I don't think they understand what long-term shit that they getting themselves into. Exactly. You know? Just
like, who was it? YG was talking about it. I think he got like a four album deal or something like that. Mm-hmm. And he put out so many different mixtapes in the meantime and funded them himself because they wouldn't count certain ones as albums.
Because he wasn't putting out the shit
that they wanted. So again, it's a question you got to ask yourself. And I'm not going to judge anybody that does, because at the end of the day, these situations that people are placed upon usually dictate the outcome of their decisions. That's just human nature.
I mean, while we on the topic of ownership, I mean, like this Rico shit. This is where we run into the ownership.
Yeah.
The same time as while we're like, oh, we need to own shit, a lot of us can't, like, I don't know if it's an ego thing or if we just all came from the streets. Everybody wants to be El Chapo or Scarface. They want to be the biggest.
Because that's what's been glorified. Exactly. That's what we've been seeing. That's what's been glorified.
And the stuff that, it's like how they say on $1 million worth of game, you could easily leave that shit alone. You can still talk about it.
Oh yeah.
But you could just leave that shit alone. You making millions of dollars. What would you need to be in the streets for?
Because people got something to prove. People always got something to prove. You out here, grown man, trying to prove shit to other niggas. For what? For what? I don't understand it. Like, we live in this space where we know what the outcomes can be. Now you got a RICO case against somebody who is so influential. And again, it's the case. We don't know what the outcome may be. We can hope that the allegations are not true. But as far as the music he's put out and the things that he said, they use niggas' rap lyrics against him these days. And that's the crazy part. That's what's so ridiculous to me, is like, you got Liam Neeson, who literally said he was targeting black people to kill. Mm-hmm. Literally went on record to say that this motherfucker just made another movie 2 months ago? But as a black person, you don't get them same privileges. Because as soon as they want to take your black ass down, you gone. Exactly. It don't matter what situation it is. It doesn't matter how good of a person you are. You can be Will Smith, as you can see. It don't matter. They're going to have memes of your ass and talking about you and not have you at the Academy Awards no more. but had John Wayne there when he was talking about fucking beating up some Native American lady. I don't know the whole story. I just know his white ass was doing something crazy. Yeah. But anyways, you don't get the same opportunities, and that goes back to the fact, like I said, these people who listen to Lil Durk and them, and people who've experienced it, people who just think shit's sweet. You know, for me, the Rico case kind of brings the light again that you have two brothers that are top of the rap game right now. It really gets no bigger than Young Thug and Gunna right now. And so, doesn't matter what your height is, what your status is, how much money you got. At the end of the day, you still a nigga in the United States eyes.
Pretty much. That's what I'm getting at. Matter. Like, when we do get an ownership or when we do get that status, we don't know how to act. That's another thing.
But if you do, just tell me, was the last time you heard something about Jay-Z? What he done rapped about. But you know what he did? Yeah. He integrated his money. With his ownership, he integrated his money to these same people, to these same companies that are owned by elderly white folks. So now you have stability because you've now integrated your money with people who are going to make sure your black ass don't go to jail. Because you're an asset.
Yeah. Because my thing with the whole Rico thing, man, is like, the reason why I say we don't know how to act is you have people sitting in their face. You don't have to do that anymore. You don't have to associate yourself with this, and this no more.
Exactly.
And I'll just look in your face and just shake your head. And just like, yeah, whatever. Because they've been doing it for so long. Like, why would I stop? And then now they get Rico. Oh my God, I can't believe.
But that's the decisions you have to make. Like, none of this we talked about is going to be easy. It can't be. We're talking about over 500 years of oppression that we're trying to undo as people, without a starting point or a history to do so. So at the end of the day, look at yourself what it's worth. You probably can't even think about this in just say personal for you as a situation of you and your child, because we're maybe even talking about a generation after him or so. That's how long it may take to even see a change to where we are seen as people, more as people, because we went from 1/3 of a person to now, we can vote now. Yeah. So where now you have to ask yourself, it's kind of sad. It's almost a greater good, and it sounds so corny, but at the end of the day, you have to live with this almost unselfishness that you may not see the end of this journey. I mean, just like Kendrick said about Nipsey Hussle, he didn't want to go, but maybe he completed his mission. Yeah. I mean, I'm definitely a person that he inspired when it came to my music that I make. Same. So, just like Tupac said before Nipsey, I might not change the world, but I will spark the mind that will. Yeah, yeah. And that's
it's like what they say: everybody got a chance and a choice.
Exactly. So that's the same thing you wake up every day.
It's that decision you make in life.
Every day you wake up with a chance and a choice.
So but hey, man, we getting to an hour. I wanted to know, because we can do that shit.
All day, bro. I'm always welcome to come back, man. I talk a lot. It's on, G.
We can do that all day. We can go the whole circle with the whole conversation. It's crazy just how it worked. But
yeah,
what I wanted to know, man, was a little bit just like let the people know where they can find your music.
Oh yeah,
what you working on. So I mean, where can they find your album?
Man, any platform, Spotify, YouTube Music, any music outlet you got, I'm on there. Willy Graves, WILLYGRAVES. You can find me on Instagram at The Willy Graves. Facebook, I go with my government. If you know it, you do. If you don't, yeah, man, reach out to me on Instagram, The Willy Graves. I hope everybody enjoys the music, man. On the 25th, my first official LLC formates for Coco Infinity. It's KOKO stands for Keep On Keeping On Infinity, man. So trying to be an inspirational brand for a lot of people, and showing that you can be a person that came from Section 8 and public housing and be a business owner, man. So
I mean, basically, what do you want people to take from this podcast?
Man, take that you can be anything that you want to be, but it's going to require sacrifice. it's going to require you being an individual. And, sometimes you got to block out the noise. You got to be determined on the things that you want and what you want to become, and for the people that love you most. Because again, like I said, it's sometimes just the unselfish action. You got to have unselfish thoughts of the people that surround you and the impact you're trying to make on your communities. So again, I respect everybody that makes music. Whatever you do, whatever you got to do to get out of your situations, I just want you to continue to be great, be prolific, be inspired, and hopefully my music and my brand and the people that surround me do that for y'all. So
I fuck with it, man. Well, I appreciate you coming back on.
Oh yeah.
Originally, if people don't know, we did this earlier.
Yeah, man.
We had like a little mess up on the audio, so we had to do it again.
Things happen, bro. But that's the thing, life happens. But every time something goes wrong, man, it's a chance to do it better next time.
Exactly. I feel like it went smooth.
Exactly. So I'm always a pleasure, G.
You feel me?
Oh yeah.
But hey, man, that's all we got for you guys today. I'll check back with you guys next week. Church.